Course overview and objectives. Understand crisis management principles. Master the decision-making framework for fire emergencies, collisions, groundings, and security threats specific to passenger vessels with 500-plus persons aboard. Master human behavior awareness. Identify panic indicators, crowd movement patterns, and psychological responses to life-threatening situations in confined maritime environments. Develop emergency response skills. Practice coordinating evacuation procedures, lifeboat deployment protocols, and passenger mustering techniques according to IMO guidelines. Meet STCW requirements. Complete practical and theoretical assessments that fulfill international certification standards for passenger vessel crisis management competency. Module 1, Introduction to Crisis Management. Definition of crisis. A critical situation that threatens vessel safety, requires immediate action, and may result in catastrophic consequences if mishandled. Specific maritime crises include Class A fires in machinery spaces, hull breaches following collision, severe lists from cargo shifts, bomb threats requiring passenger mustering, and mass casualty incidents exceeding onboard medical capacity. Crisis Management Framework. The systematic approach to preparing for, responding to, and recovering from emergency situations. Key components include vessel-specific risk matrices, deployment protocols for firefighting teams, multi-channel communication systems, command structure establishment within 3 minutes of alarm activation, and post-incident passenger accounting procedures compliant with SOLAS Chapter 3 regulations. Importance for passenger vessels. Passenger vessels present unique challenges due to large numbers of untrained civilians, complex vessel structures, and limited evacuation options. A typical cruise ship may carry 3,000-plus passengers with mobility limitations, language barriers, and psychological responses to stress. Multi-deck layouts with fire zones require coordinated evacuation through designated muster stations, while lifeboat capacity limitations demand precise embarkation procedures to prevent overcrowding and panic. Module 1, Regulatory Framework and Requirements. STCW Requirements. The Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping, STCW Code, Section AV/2 paragraphs 4 to 6, mandates specialized training for all personnel designated on muster lists to assist passengers during emergencies on passenger ships. Crew members must complete approved crisis management and human behavior training covering crowd management, communication techniques, and psychological responses to emergencies. Certification renewal is required every 5 years through refresher training or demonstrated competency assessment. SOLAS provisions. The International Convention for Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS. Chapter 3. Regulations 19 to 21 requires weekly emergency drills and mandates that all passenger vessels carry life-saving equipment for 125% of maximum passenger capacity. SOLAS Regulation 3/19.2.2 specifically requires passenger ships to conduct abandon, ship and fire drills weekly, while Regulation 3/19.2.3 mandates that every crew member participates in at least one abandoned ship drill and one fire drill each month. All drills must be documented in the official logbook. ISM Code Connection. The International Safety Management (ISM) Code, Sections 8 and 9 require shipping companies to establish documented procedures for responding to potential emergency situations, including fire, collision, grounding, and evacuation. Under ISM Code Section 5.2, companies must clearly define and document the master's authority and responsibility for implementing the safety management system, including the explicit authority to request company assistance during emergencies. Each vessel must maintain a detailed emergency response plan with ship-specific procedures and contact protocols. Module 1, Crisis Management Team Structure. A clear command structure is essential for effective crisis management as mandated by CCW Section AV2. Each team member must understand their role, reporting lines and areas of responsibility within the vessel's safety management system. Master Captain Ultimate Command Authority responsible for final decision-making, activating emergency plans, and external communications with authorities as per SOLAS regulations. Senior officers, chief engineer, chief officer, and safety officer who manage technical operations, deck operations, and implement ISM code protocols respectively. Response teams, STCW certified teams, including firefighting squads, evacuation coordinators, first aid responders, and damage control units with specific training in passenger management. Support personnel, cabin stewards, restaurant staff, and entertainment crew assigned to muster stations, passenger assembly, and life-saving equipment deployment. Regular drills as required by SOLAS. Chapter 3 help reinforce this structure and identify potential improvements before real emergencies occur. Module 1. Optimizing human resources during maritime emergencies. Assess available personnel conduct, a rapid muster count and capability assessment using the vessel's crew list and training matrix. Identify crew members with STCW firefighting certification, medical first aid qualifications, and lifeboat operation experience. Document current watchkeepers who possess detailed knowledge of specific vessel compartments and systems. Assign clear responsibilities. Deploy personnel using the muster list framework, assigning engineering crew to damage control, deck officers to evacuation management, and hotel staff to passenger mustering points. Ensure each fire team has at least one certified team leader and designate specific officers as secondary command post operators if the bridge becomes compromised. Implement rotation system. Establish 4-hour rotation schedules for emergency teams, particularly for SCBE-equipped firefighting teams who face physical exhaustion and limited air supply. Maintain a dedicated rest area adjacent to the Emergency Control Center where off-duty responders can recover while remaining available for rapid redeployment. Monitor performance and readjust utilized runners between emergency stations to collect status reports every 30 minutes. Watch for signs of heat stress in firefighting teams, communication breakdown between bridge and response teams, or degraded decision-making among officers. Immediately replace personnel showing symptoms of shock or psychological distress with designated alternates from the muster list. Module 1. Leadership in Maritime Crisis Situations. Clear communication. Utilize maritime-specific terminology when issuing commands over vessel communication systems. Require readback confirmation from all deck officers and emergency team leaders. Maintain a steady vocal tone at 75% volume level to convey authority without suggesting panic, especially when addressing passengers during abandoned ship procedures. Decisive action. Commit to critical decisions within 30 to 60 seconds during fire or flooding emergencies. Implement immediate damage control measures based on initial reports rather than waiting for complete assessment. When choosing between evacuation routes or firefighting strategies, make clear determinations and document rationale in ship's log when possible. Adaptability. Rapidly modify muster station assignments if primary locations become compromised. Develop at least 2 alternative evacuation routes for each vessel section during the initial emergency assessment. Reassign crew duties immediately when casualties affect the emergency response team structure, prioritizing firefighting, damage control, and evacuation management. Composure. Regulate breathing patterns, 4-count inhale, 4-count exhale, when stress indicators appear. Maintain steady hand movements when operating emergency equipment or demonstrating safety procedures. Position yourself visibly at emergency control stations to provide a calm reference point for disoriented passengers and crew, especially during listing conditions or power failures. Module 1. Effective decision-making under pressure. Gather information. Collect relevant facts about the emergency from bridge reports, crew observations, and vessel monitoring systems. Verify the nature and location of the incident. Analyze options. Quickly evaluate response protocols according to vessel emergency procedures. Consider passenger safety, vessel integrity, and environmental impact of each option. Implement and reassess. Execute the emergency response plan and continuously monitor effectiveness. Be prepared to adapt if conditions change or initial response proves inadequate. Make decision. Select the most appropriate emergency response based on passenger capacity, vessel conditions, and proximity to assistance. Prioritize life safety above all other considerations. During maritime emergencies, Decisions must often be made with incomplete information and under severe time constraints. The OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, provides a framework for ship officers making critical decisions during crises. Remember that timely, decisive action based on training protocols is usually better than delayed response while seeking perfect information.